it's been a while, and wow, what a session to come into, starting us off after a long break. Okay, so we are seeing extremely bearish momentum. This is because of a narrative flip from the outlook on Iran. Okay, so yesterday we saw, 2 days ago we saw that things were letting up. We were seeing a weakening in the US dollar. We were seeing inflows into gold. We were seeing crude oil prices start to come down, deflationary indicators. Okay, and just a couple hours ago we saw the narrative flip from an escalation remark towards an escalation remark. Okay, we are seeing a couple of factors here, largely because of geopolitical escalation. We are seeing Trump is making remarks such as a massive escalation, sending Iran back into the Stone Age. The risk of war increases. Global uncertainty is at its all-time high, and with global uncertainty, what gold is generally sensitive towards is the price of oil at the moment, and the inflationary aspects of expensive oil. Okay, so capital continues to flow into the US dollar as the primary safe haven. Gold loses appeal, and thus the bearish momentum continues once more. Okay, flipping structural on the 4-hour, hourly, and 15-minute to be very bearish. Okay, if you can see on the 4-hour, we formed the 4-hour change of character, which did result into the hourly and 15-minute to flip as well. Okay, we are seeing the price of oil start to increase again. The risk towards oil supply is very high, and this of course causes inflationary fears, and that is why we are seeing flows of money going back into the US dollar, and thus a bearish move on gold. Okay, so how do we capitalize on such a bearish momentum? If you are on the hourly, you can see we formed a manipulation. Let's go into the 15-minute real quick so everything is much clearer. On the 15-minute time frame, we saw that price ran previous day's high. Asian session formed. 9 a.m. candle formed the 15-minute displacement, continued by the hourly change of character. Okay, so we formed the hourly change of character, we formed the displacement, we formed the 4-hour change of character, which was supposed to be a protected swing low, which got taken out. And lastly, we also took out the Asian lows right here. Okay, we most recently took out the Asian lows. So prices are extremely bearish, and with that, what we can expect is a pullback to ride sells. Okay, so London session would most probably be a pullback session. We would pull back into levels where we would then execute further sells. As of now, if we were to take a trade, we would have to be very patient. Okay, we will look into 15-minute levels for retracement. So in the next 2 minutes, we would then close out this 15-minute candle, forming another fair value gap right here. So within this level, I want to see prices retrace at least above 50% marks. Okay, at least the 50% mark, and inside fair value gaps like this, which is very wide, 400, almost about 300 pip wide, I want to see I want to trade at a discount. So 50% above the fair value gap would be my target. Okay, I want to sell anything above 50% of the fair value gap. I do not want to sell at the fair value gap. I want to sell above it. Okay, above it internally. Okay, at a discount of the fair value gap before I consider possibilities of confirmation, of bearish confirmation. Okay, because why? Stops would be too expensive if we were to look immediately for sales. Stops will be too expensive because the invalidation point will be this high. Okay, the invalidation point will be this high right here. So from the invalidation point towards the entry, if we were to enter at the midpoint, is already almost 300 pips. So looking for confirmations higher is much preferable. As of now, the game plan is to just wait. The game plan is to wait for price to retrace into levels, buyers to hold positions before moving lower. Will price retrace in towards this level right here? No way to say for sure, but at least in towards levels of internal liquidity on the 15-minute time frame. So if price retraces into this level, we would then look for 5-minute confirmation of a structural change. If price retraces into this level, which is much preferred, higher retracement, we look for structural change again before we then take sells. So as for now, what I'm saying is there is no point into rushing a trade when prices are extremely bearish at the moment. There's no point in rushing a trade here because a quick retracement above the last bearish candle is already almost 200 pips. So I want to sell at a discount. I want to sell when prices are higher. And to do that, we would need to execute patience. Okay, we need to execute patience. Wait for the market to be cheap, wait for confirmation of sellers, and then from there we would take our bear position, or we would then take our sell positions to ride this bearish momentum. Okay, so with that, I hope all of you have a very, very profitable day ahead, and I'll see everybody inside T Market Makers very, very shortly. For now, I'm not taking an entry until we reach internal liquidity.